creating concepts and ideas for like viral campaigns that do good, and I soon realized that it was really important, not only from my faith background, but just in the area of social good as a whole, of continually working not just in the non-for-profit space, but creating also social enterprise that does a lot of good. So our company gets to work with a lot of great companies that have a clear sense that integrated into their business plan is some clear objective of doing good in our world. And so for me, it was more like, how do we accelerate what we can do to, quote unquote, change our world? And I realized pathways could be both not-for-profit as well as for-profit, and I wanted to be in a space that helps people take a concept and implement them well.
Great. So I would actually spent about 15 years as a pastor in the church, and for those 15 years, loved it. Loved communicating the scriptures from our perspective, working with all sorts of different individuals. We were able to start multiple non-for-profits, one actually to stop human trafficking in the city of Chicago, and others feeding the poor, and all sorts of education initiatives. And a lot of that, for me, came very specifically out of my own personal experience of the scriptures. There's this really simple command that Jesus gives us, as, in the scriptures as Christians. How we interpret it is to go and make the world whole again. It's actually very similar to shalom, right? That's actually the origination of the concept. And so, ideologically speaking, theologically speaking, my motivation is I think that there is intent in the way that God made the world. There's this deep, deep intent. There's this narrative that's been written. And the fact of the matter is we are not where we should be. Regardless of how we think we got here, we're not where we should be. And so after 15 years of spending lots of time and loving time in the church, I kind of hit this wall where I realized that I needed to spend time in the business sector, because there were some things that happened. There were some things that were happening to me in the business world. When you face ideology in the non-for-profit world, and you face ideology in the religious world, it's this really strong construct, right? It really defines the space that you work in. In the business world, what I started to realize was they were driven far more by outcomes in some ways, actually, than a lot of the more ideologically driven organizations were. I'm not saying that non-for-profits are not driven by outcomes. This was just my experience. And so about a year and a half ago, we decided to step out and actually begin to work in this space between these sectors, to converge the sectors, to get the best out of the for-profit world, leveraging the profit and the outcomes and the focus on building business for causes and non-for-profits. And all of that is essentially aimed at making the world whole again.